Today we'll be working on practicing the American English D and T sounds. These sounds belong to the group of sounds we call stop sounds. They are called stop sounds because you must hold your breath before you say them. This means that you stop all the air and your voice and then pronounce the sound. In American English, the D and T sounds are formed in exactly the same way, except for what we call voicing. Voicing, as you may recall from video 3, means that your vocal cords are moving or vibrating. For a voiced sound, this means that you can hear your voice and feel your throat vibrate in your neck when you speak. For an unvoiced sound, you hear only air being pushed out of your mouth, and the vocal cords are not vibrating. Both the T and D are formed by placing the tip of your tongue on the ridge, which is the flat part just behind your upper front teeth. The key here is to make sure that your tongue tip isn't flat on the ridge or pushing against your teeth. If your native language is Spanish, Portuguese, Filipino, or Russian, for example, you may be pronouncing these sounds in this way, so that they sound like this. Th, th. You will also want to make sure that your tongue tip doesn't go too far back in your mouth. If you are from India or Pakistan, for example, you may be pronouncing the t and d with your tongue tip behind the ridge so that they sound like d and d. Once you have your tongue tip in the right place on the ridge, you hold your breath. Then push out the sound. Because the D sound is voiced, you will hear your voice when you say it, so it sounds like D. The T sound doesn't use your voice, so it sounds like this. T. You must hear the puff of air after you say the T sound. If you don't, then you are saying the D sound. Let's practice the T and the D sounds. First, the T. 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 Did you hear the puff of air after you said the T sound? This tends to be harder than the D sound, so let's practice this again. T. 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 Great job. Let's go on to the D sound. Ready? D. 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 Okay, great. Now you've practiced the T and D by themselves, and it's time to put them into some words. Let's use the T sound in words first. 2. 10. Time. Take. Did you hear the puff of air after the T sound? Okay, good. Let's go on to the D words. Do. Day. Done. Did. You're doing great. Now it's time to put some of those D and T words in some sentences. Don't be afraid to exaggerate the D and T sounds when you're first learning them. This actually helps you learn them faster. Let's start with some T words and sentences. Remember that puff of air. It is 10 o'clock. I have 2 cats. What time is it? Please take your bag. Nice job. Now, let's practice some D words and sentences. Do you know him? What day is it? I did it. He is done with his work. Now that you know how to say the T and D sounds, you'll need to practice. Remember, the more you practice, the easier it will be for you to say them. Repetition really is the key to changing how you now pronounce these sounds. Because you've been saying them in the same way for a very long time, it will naturally take a little while to change them so that it feels comfortable for you. Here is what I would like you to do. First, make a list of words that you say on a regular basis that have the T and the D sounds in them, and write them down. Then practice these words over and over until you feel you can pronounce them easily. To check to see how you are doing, record your words as you say them. Then go back and listen to see if you've heard the puff of air after the T, and you're placing your tongue tip in the correct place for both the T and the D. Next, try reading aloud. You can read anything, a magazine article, a page from a book, anything you want, and record it. Go back and listen and see if you've pronounced the T and the D sounds correctly. Until next time.